So, like, if you learn a language but you don't have any, like, let's say you learn Italian and you don't have any Italian friends or you know anyone Italian, so you're just learning on your own. Like, you'll feel certain and confident that you know because of the work you're doing, but it doesn't mean you'll be confident in a conversation when speaking in Italian, because you only have one aspect or one layer of the experiential information required. So self self certainty is just going out there and doing the actions and creating that cachet of testing and measuring. Does X equal Y? Does Y equal Z? Like, we're going out there and doing that, and it's the merging of theoretical knowledge, so learnt knowledge from books, from other people. So, learning another language, just grabbing a dictionary and writing every word, theoretical knowledge, right? And then we have experiential knowledge. That's the knowledge we get through experience of doing. So for us to be confident in who we are, all we need to know is that in anything you do, you just have to have done it a lot to be confident. You have to have done similar things. You just have to believe in yourself, because when you believe in yourself, you become certain of yourself. And it's not that you do it arrogantly. The goal isn't arrogantly. The goal is to empower yourself by being able to look back at similar things you've done and said, yes, I took these actions. So, like, for example, for me personally, in everything I've done, like, all I look back to is in my sales. I just used to make 100 calls an hour. Like, I used to just punch out. Like, how I get anything in life has always been maximum effort. Like, that's my conscious choice. I just choose to do an insurmountable, amount of work in comparison to the average. Because if I do that, I'm up there in the, top 20, 30%. So, like, sort of, I can do it, I can choose my comfort level. Do you understand? Like, the work has to be done, but I just have to be comfortable doing it. Yeah, so, like, in anything, all I needed was time and output. And over a long enough time period, okay, the output always multiplies. So, like, if I do, you know, 30, 40 calls an hour, right, every hour for 6 to 8 hours a day, it's exhausting. But if I do that over a 3 month period, that's 3 to 4 to 6,000 conversations you could have, you had. Do you understand the cachet of experiential knowledge in all these different conversations, all these different type of people? And that's what we seek to do when we seek to learn and build in new industries and new skills. Is we have to first build up the theoretical knowledge and then build up the experiential knowledge. Now we can learn by doing and do the experiential knowledge first and then build the theoretical knowledge after. Like, that would be the more efficient way to do it, but the way with less mistakes is to build a base of the theoretical knowledge, build the experiential knowledge, and then, like, sort of invest and finalize all of the theoretical knowledge. And generally, to master anything takes about 2.5 to 5 years of dedication. That's where every other aspect of life ceases, and there is only this. Because if you're trying to learn 5 different subjects over a 12-month period, in comparison to just learning one subject, like, you learn at such a lower rate because you're constantly having to jump between different thought patterns or thought waves. So for example, if you're learning sales, marketing, let's say you're learning web development, you're learning this, like they're all interlinked. But if I'm thinking about sales, I'm slightly different to marketing, right? So if I'm learning about marketing principles, they don't always translate directly into sales, right? So there's a lot of overlap, okay? And they absolutely do, but you got to get to the higher levels before you can connect the dots. But when we're talking about understanding, like if I'm running Facebook ads and then I'm going out doing door to door, there's not going to be a great deal of overlap on the simple level, okay, by the simple actions. Now, the overlap comes in to when I can start talking about the advertising in my sales meetings. Do you understand? Like, there's so much overlap because everything overlaps, but like when we're talking about it simply, so the way I have to construct my thoughts and perspective, like position my perspective, okay, is different. Sales, I'm looking at the singular. Marketing, I'm looking at the multiple, the groups. So the way I give it is sales, you're thinking one to one. This is how me and you connect. Marketing, we're thinking one to many. This is how we connect with everyone. So it's just different ways because when I'm talking to you, it's highly personalized. When I'm talking to 1,000 people, it's a lot more generalized. Okay? So we're going from having highly personalized thoughts to now having highly generalized. So what that does is it just requires more effort because we've got to be able to shift our mind into thinking in a highly personalized terms. So thinking about like the impacts on the individual, you know, the impacts of the relationship, how I'm talking, am I, you know, like am I congruent with who that person is imagining should be sitting in front of them, you know, am I congruent in the information that I present? Is the information flowing? Do you understand? Like it's so much deeper. And then we're looking at like, you know, how is this person's facial expressions responding to us and all these different things. But what we're doing, right, is think of it as highly zoomed in, and then our marketing, we're looking at the highly zoomed out. Okay. So just understanding this, like this is the way that you build up mental acuity. So if you're able to jump from thing to thing, if you're able to go from thinking about marketing to thinking about branding, to thinking about sales, to thinking about operations, like if you're able to jump between them, like it's just ways of thinking, perspective, because they have different variables and different influencing factors that you have to account for. So if I try and do marketing with a one-to-one approach, like, do you understand? Like it wouldn't be right because there's different variables we're trying to hit on, right? While you can do a one-to-one approach in marketing, you wouldn't have your overall approach as a one-to-one approach. Because when you're one-to-one, you're talking to an exact person. You have to know exactly everything about them. Do you understand? So like that's the thing is when we try and do things and not overcomplicate them, but basically when we merge things together that shouldn't be merged, right? Out of our own ego. But regardless, like we'll jump back on topic. So this is how it equals into self-certainty, is that just when we understand, when we're able to position and see, when we see the whole battlefield, it makes us more confident in directing the movements. Like when we understand where the objectives are And when we understand where the threats are or where the challenges are, we're able to plan accordingly, which gives us confidence. And the downside is in business, a lot of people are planning for things that they haven't done. And not many people go out there and actually survey the land in front of them. So we're planning for all these could haves and maybes in business, and we're planning for all these opportunities, but we don't actually know until we get out there and do it where the challenges actually lie and where the opportunity actually lies. Do you understand? So it's like if you're building a new business and you've never built a business before, you've created a framework or a picture, and it's like now you've set out reality. So where the opportunities lie, where the challenges lie, and we're trying to sort of mesh them over one another so that we have the full picture. But unless we've done it before, we don't have the accurate reality. We don't have the actualized reality. We don't know exactly what has been there. That's why, it's always easier to start your second business. Once you've had one business success, it always happens. Is because like you've got the foundational map of what to avoid, where to walk. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be correct, but it sort of gives you that level. And essentially, that's what we're all looking for in life to build our self confidence. Like when we're trying to build self confidence in our life, essentially, we're trying to have that map of knowing, what are the things that are going to make me happy and how do I get there? And what are the things I should avoid so I don't have a negative life? And when we're able to do this, and once we understand and know where we want to go, then it becomes quite easy. And you can listen to anyone on the topic. Like listen to anyone who like for example, take like the easiest one is Elon Musk. Like he knows that he wants to progress the human civilization to having a colony on Mars. Like he knows the way to do that is to commercialize the space, the space industry. So it's like it's easy for him to walk confidently towards that, and invest everything in that because he knows where he's going. Like he knows what he wants to achieve. He may not know the exact path, but he knows the directions and the outcomes. But because he's got a large cachet of other businesses, he knows rough pitfalls. Doesn't mean you can avoid all, but it just means you have a better understanding of being able to identify, well, what is, a challenge or a pitfall, and what is a critical event or an emergency. So, like, that's just an important thing to remember is that, like, if you don't feel confident about yourself, you just don't feel certain in yourself. And if you don't feel certain in yourself, okay, it's either going to be that you have negative beliefs, so you got negative talk that's tearing you down every time you try and build yourself up, or you've got validation issues where you're not validating yourself for who you authentically are within yourself, and you're seeking validation from the external environment, becoming a character of who they want you to be or who you think they see. And it's important to like understand this because this is the framework of liberation. First, I must know who I authentically am. Then I must build my mindset to have, positive narratives run again and again and again so that any negativity is hit by just wave after wave of positive. Okay, so it can never root. And then we just have to have certainty in who we are. And if we say, I'm going to, it's like if you take on a job and you say to the employer, I'll work 60 hours a week. Like, you're going to do it because you said you were going to do it. It doesn't mean that every week, is 60 hours on the dot, but it's like, if you can give more, you give more. If you need to, divert attention somewhere else, like let's say family issues, you do that. Like, that's the thing. But it's like, if you're not meeting it consistently, that's when you got to have a conversation to yourself. Because whatever you believe as being what you want in the world, like truly believe, not want because of other people's ideals of what is right and wrong, but what you truly want, like it's quite easy for you to take the actions to get it. It's quite effortless to be motivated. You just wake up every day and you just push that boulder a little further up the mountain. All right. Well, I hope you have a great day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.